Hey everyone. So welcome to my channel or my podcast, depending on where you're listening. So my name's Marissa, and I wasn't actually going to do a video on saving money, but I realized this is actually one of my superpowers. And let me tell you why. Okay. When I was growing up, right, my dad was part of the silent generation. So he was born in the 30s, and my mom was like 12 years younger than he was. So she was born and she's one of the baby boomers. So now there's that generation gap sort of, right? So basically, my dad was the type of person that was incredibly stingy about saving money. So he would be like, that's 12 cents of butter you're using, right? I get that line from everybody. Everybody Hates Chris. I always love that show. And my mom was an incredible shopper. Okay. She loved shopping and she would buy anything if it was on sale, if it was a bargain or anything. So as a result, she has tons of things that she has never used in her life, but they all have some kind of weird emotional attachment to them. So basically that caused me to be the type of person who loves a bargain, but is also incredibly, I wouldn't say I'm stingy with money, but I would say that I've definitely learned how to work with my money. However, I will preface that by saying that there are definitely tips that I'm going to share with you today that I wish I had learned much, much earlier in my life, because I've made a lot of mistakes with money, and part of it is because I loved shopping. Even though I was buying things on sale, I was like my mom, I wasn't buying things that I necessarily needed or that type of thing, right? So this particular video is not just for teachers, but it's definitely for teachers as well, because a lot of teachers don't get paid what they're worth, and a lot of teachers are always looking for ways to save money. All right, so most importantly, stay to the end where I will have a bonus tip for you, and definitely like and subscribe, especially if you're a teacher who's looking to develop your growth mindset. All right, let's get to it. So in no particular order, okay, number one is play the what can I make game with the food in your fridge or freezer. So this week, my husband is away in Port Elizabeth in South Africa, and I have decided, okay, my goal this week, I play it like a game, right? My goal this week is not to spend any money on food. That is my goal. So I am going to look to see what can I make out of what's in my fridge and freezer. So as an example, a couple of days ago, I made a pasta. So what I used is pasta. I had a frozen bag of butternut chunks, 1 onion, half a thing of garlic. So I roasted that together, sliced up the butternut, roasted that. Then I had a jar of sauce in my cupboard. So I used that for a pasta sauce. And I had frozen edamame or soybeans. So I put those in for my protein because I'm vegetarian. So and then I made this massive pot of pasta. And did I use 1/8 of the thing of pasta? No, I boiled all the pasta so that I have the whole thing. So I don't have to worry about what to make for the next few days, and I can eat it for lunch or for dinner. So if you are I would say this too, if you don't like cooking, learn to cook. Before I started, I have a magazine that I use called Fresh Living that I have tons of recipes from. But if you don't cook, find a way of learning, because I can't stress enough that not cooking is one of the biggest areas that is sapping your cash. So soups and stews are really easy. When I first started cooking, I could literally make a stir fry 20 different ways, and that was it. So until I found the magazine and where I started experimenting with things, I also couldn't do too much, but I still tried to cook as much as I could. Now, if you want to make soups and stews, the best thing to do is just look it up. Be like, okay, I have these things. I have butternut and soybeans and pasta. What can I make? And if you just search butternut soybean pasta, something will come up. So even if you just be roasted butternut, right? And then throw that in with your pasta or whatever. And then you can freeze things as well. So That is the first thing I would tell you about saving money. Number 2, shopping when things are marked down and then looking for the recipes on Google. So for example, and I saw this in Canada, I know it happens in the States, it definitely happens here, but if something is marked down, I will buy it and then I will look for a recipe that uses it. So if I have like eggplant, which could be aubergine or brinjal, it goes by all 3 names, and tomatoes. And this actually happened to me once. I looked up those 2 things because they were marked down. So they were super cheap. And I found ratatouille, which uses both of those ingredients. And I just needed to buy like baby marrow, which is like zucchini. And yeah, Bob's your uncle. So I always try to buy things when they're marked down. Even like the tea that I'm drinking, which is like cinnamon and Ceylon tea, was marked down at Woolworths. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, 50% off. I'll give it a go. I like tea. Boom, there you go. All right, number 3 is buying in bulk and then, or depending on how big your family is, sharing the cost with friends. So basically, when you buy in bulk, right, you obviously are saving a lot of money. Now, some people buy in bulk and then things go off because they don't have, they aren't able to cook everything in time. So what you would need to do is, if that's you, then look for friends that are willing to share the product with you. So in South Africa, I'm sure that's called a stockville, because I know people who do that and they always say like, we've got to put money into the stockville. Now, that is one really great way. So especially like for maybe onions or potatoes or things that you're going to cook with, if you buy in bulk, you save a lot of money, and then you don't have to worry as much about, having things go off or what you're going to make. And that can even be things like cat food. Like I bought a huge thing of cat food because I know I'm going to use it with my cats. And it basically saved me 50% of what I would have paid in the shop. So that is definitely my next piece of advice: buying in bulk and or sharing that cost with friends. Number 4, the credit card trap. This is a lesson I wish I had learned when I was younger. Okay, now I'm going to preface this by saying this is a little lesson from Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Understand the difference between an asset and a liability. Okay, so it's like wealth versus poor mindset. So basically, is the product that you are going to buy going to put money into your pocket, or is it going to take money out of your pocket and not replace it? Because when you get a credit card, okay, and if you are a young person, and by young, I mean like in your 20s, if you are younger, okay, or even younger than 20s, please, for the love of everything sacred, learn when you decide to get a credit card, which I am not promoting in any way, shape, or form. When you decide to get a credit card, understand what is the interest rate. And this is especially true for store cards, because unbelievably, my husband and I both had no idea about like interest rates when it came to credit cards, and especially store cards. And I used to work at Sears when I was younger, which was a big department store. And all my friends and family and all my friends of friends of friends would all be like, oh, can you buy this for me on your card? And I'll give you cash, and then you can just pay off the card. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So people would give me cash, and then would I pay off the card? No, of course not. And Sears had one of the highest interest rates. So for like every $100 that was on the card, I actually had to pay $120 on top of that if I didn't pay it off at the end of the month. So really understand, how does the interest rate on your credit card actually work? Because if you can't pay something off at the end of the month and you are only making minimum payments, and this is where my husband really got trapped. He was only making minimum payments. And then of course, because of the interest rate, his minimum payments were getting higher because he still had money. So they were charging him interest on the money that he still owed, right? So until you really decide if it is an asset or liability, do you need it or do you want it? Is it putting money into your pocket, or is it taking money out of your pocket? Because if it's putting money into your pocket, okay, fine, then it's an investment. But if it's taking money out of your pocket, then you really need to decide, do I need it? Can I save up for it without putting it on the credit card? Okay. And especially be careful, I'm not going to get into it, but things that are like 6 months interest free, that kind of thing, just be very, very careful. Okay. Number 5, understand, going back to like asset versus liability, understand the 4 biggest culprits that are stealing your money from you. And this is, again, something I never really did the math on, but if you do the math, you'll probably be shocked. Okay. Number 1, eating out. This is why I say learn how to cook. Okay. Learn how to cook. Start simple, get some influencers that you want to follow, and learn how to cook, because eating out is the biggest, I don't know, for lack of a better term, sucker of money, okay, that I can even think of. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of grateful for COVID with this, because it really forced me to start cooking a lot more. And I started to realize like how much money I was actually wasting by eating out. Okay. And that includes fast food, just regular eating out, going out with your friends. It's really, 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 a big, a big factor in terms of where your money is going. And if you want to try to improve that, like eat at home before you go, and just go and socialize, just go and have a drink or that. You don't have to go for dinner with your friends. You can just go and socialize and and just pay for a drink or whatever. Or don't drink that night, right? Which leads me to the next culprit stealing your money, alcohol. And again, I have to thank COVID, because you may or may not know that in South Africa, alcohol was completely banned during COVID. And as a result, I didn't drink anything for like 2 months. And it really helped me realize like how much money I could save by not drinking. So that is something, I'm not saying you need to like stop drinking completely. I'm just saying that alcohol is definitely one area that is taking up, that is taking a lot of your money. Number 3 is smoking, predominantly cigarettes. So I'm sure if you're a smoker or a vapor, it's the same thing in terms of money. Really, if you really want to know, do a calculation. Okay. Do the yearly calculation test and see how much money, and I'm an ex-smoker. So, I mean, I know how much money is being like taken off from smoking. So see how much money you are spending on vaping or smoking, right? Like just look at in a day or in a week, or when you buy a pack of smokes, like just track it for a week or a month, right? And then multiply that by 12 and see how much money you are actually spending in a year before you decide if this habit is worth is worth like taking all your money. It's basically, burning your money up. And the last one, surprisingly, is coffee. So for those of you who absolutely have to get your coffee in the morning, I would encourage you to do again the calculation test. So if you get a coffee every morning and it costs you, I don't even know, $5, it might even cost you more, then the calculation test is $25 in a week and $100 in a month and $1,200 in a year. So could you take coffee to work? So what I used to do is I bought a French press and I bought ground coffee, and I would take it to work and I would make a French press coffee each day. And then I learned to drink like herbal teas, and I would have a big selection of herbal teas because it helped me get my water intake in. And I would just enjoy the one coffee. I would try not to get super like addicted to the coffee through the day. It helps that my school had really terrible coffee, but like ground coffee. But yeah. So and then what I would do is I would buy coffee on a Friday. So that would be like my weekly treat. So is there any way that you could make coffee at home and take it with you? Or could you make it at work? Like, is that possible? Because your coffee is surprisingly taking up a lot of your money for sure. All right. Number 6, try to make food on Sunday, or if you can't make food, at least try to meal prep as much as you can. But if you can make food, try to make it last a few days. Okay. And 2 things I would recommend you make. The first one is a low GI salad to take with you to lunch each day at work, or at least for the next 3 days at work, because it will keep you really full. It's perfect for teachers. If you want some ideas, you can hop over to my website. I've got a free teacher guide, and I've got a little section in there about things that you can eat that require very little prep, but most importantly, you don't need to heat them up or anything. You can eat them over the course of the day, because teachers literally, oh, I've got 5 minutes. Let me take 2 spoonfuls. So you can hop over there and check that out. But also, if you can make something big, like I made with the pasta on Sunday, and then let it kind of go over 2 or 3 days, that is then something that's a day that now you're not cooking, right? And you're saving money, because you're using the carbs that go far, like pasta. And I'm sorry if you're on keto, you're going to have to stick with soups. Like pasta, rice, potatoes, you can bulk that up, right? Sometimes I would even make, because my husband eats meat, I don't. So I'll make something for him, like a roast or something. And then each day, he'll make rice on Monday, or I'll make rice on Monday for him. And then on Wednesday, he'll eat, have potatoes with it. So it'll go over a few days. And on Tuesday, he might have toast with it or something, or just bread. I might buy a bread to have with that. So we would not have to make dinner for the next 3 days, and only make the carb side that went with it. So that's a really easy way, is using Sunday to your advantage to do meal prep or to cook something big. Like I said, soups and stews are the biggest for that. Pasta is really big if you're not going to freeze it, because personally, I don't like freezing pasta. I don't think it tastes good. But anyway, maybe you do. All right, number 7. Birthdays, babies, and brides. Okay. 3 things stealing your money. Now, this is the thing. And especially if you are a teacher, or if you are in a job that's oh, we need $10, we need $20, we need, or for us, it's 100 rand. We need 100 rand because so-and-so is having a baby, and we're collecting money to add into and then we're going to give her all this money, right, for the baby. And you're oh my gosh, everybody's having babies, especially if you go to, if you're teaching at a school where it hires a lot of younger teachers, the amount of baby showers, it's crazy. Then if you've got kids, you will know that, especially if your kids are have a ton of friends, or you're at the point where they're younger and everybody gets invited to the birthday, you've got 30 birthdays, right, going on throughout the year. If you've got 2 kids, you can multiply that by 2. So birthdays, babies, and brides. Okay. You've got people getting married. You have to buy a bridal shower gift. Plus you have to go to the, the stag and doe, or whatever, the bridal shower before the wedding. Then you got to give money at the wedding. So here's my tip. Number 1, start looking for gifts that you could give a baby, that you could give a child, but buy them when they are on sale, and stash them away. Stash them away so that when your child comes to you and says, oh, so-and-so is having a birthday and I need a gift, boom, you've got a gift. It looks like it costs $30, but it actually costs you 10, okay, because you bought it on sale and you had it stashed away. So you don't even have to think about it, right? I'm not a huge advocate of gift cards, unless if you're a teenager and everybody around is giving a $20 gift card to, I don't know, Subway or something. That's fine if you don't mind spending $20. But otherwise, remember that gift cards do say how much you spend. So it's up to you. But that's my first tip. Have a stash of gifts that you can give away. When it comes to the point that the teacher, or well, not the teachers, but your admin or your boss or whomever is asking you for money, because now you're collecting money for this teacher, this is what you say. You say, oh, no worries. I'm actually buying them something myself and giving it to them as a gift from me. Then you don't have to worry. You don't have to give any money to anybody for a donation of any sort. Okay. And linking also into this, tell people as often as possible throughout the year. Have this is going to be your mantra for the year, okay? My goal this year is to save as much money as possible. Oh, well, why aren't you buying another drink? Oh, my goal this year is to save as much money as possible. Why aren't you going to have dinner with us? Oh, I'm just going to have drinks because my goal this year is to save as much money as possible. Oh, are you sure you don't want to, you know, buy this for whatever reason? No, because my goal this year is to save as much money as possible. Make that your mantra. And then that leads me into my bonus, a trick used by wealthy mindset people that I did not know until about a few years ago when I listened to The Richest Man in Babylon. And it will not make any sense to you at first, pay yourself first. What does that mean, you ask? What does that mean, pay yourself first? Well, it means this. Open a savings account. Bonus, if you can open an account that you are not allowed to touch for 30 days, like you get a penalty if you take money out, you have to give them 30 days notice to take money out. Ideally, you never want to take money out. You want an account that's going to grow your money. Okay. And right, so it's got interest, but the good interest because it's putting money into your pocket. It's an asset. And then every week you take some of the money that you save from not buying a coffee and you put it in to that savings account, right? So the idea of paying yourself first is when you get paid, the first thing you do before anything else, before anyone else gets paid, the first thing you do is you put money into that savings account. I don't care if it is $10. Okay. I don't care if it's $20. I don't care how much it is. If you can put $100, put $100. If you can only put 10, put 10. But whatever you can afford, put that in to the savings account. Because if you commit to not having a coffee 4 days out of the week and you save $20, but in fact, in a month, 20, 40, 60, 80, you're saving $80, you could put that $80 into a savings account or 80 Rand or whatever, whatever currency you're using. You could put that $80 into a savings account and then that will actually grow you money. The bank will give you more money for having that money there. Okay, so that is the trick used by wealthy mindset. Pay yourself first. And if you are really invested in trying to build your wealth this year, then I would definitely recommend listening to The Richest Man in Babylon. You could read it. It's not really that long, but it was written a long time ago and the language is a little bit archaic. But you can get lots of summaries on YouTube that you can check out. All right, so I just wanted to jump in here because I actually thought about this after I finished recording, so I'm going to add it in. But I am also doing a completely separate video on one way to save money for teachers if you are not given any money to set up your classroom or buy stationery or anything like that, because there are schools out there where teachers are like expected to just spend their own money. And that is a huge area where teachers are not able to save their money because they are being forced to spend it on their classrooms. So if that is you, then just hold tight. I'm going to be releasing a video about that very soon with methods that you can take to help get out of that trap. And if that isn't you and you are blessed with a school that gives you money to spend, then go spend it. Go find as many deals as you can and hit us up in the show notes and let us know what were your best deals that you found where you were able to kind of do your whole classroom with very little money or something like that. So if you want to share so that other teachers can benefit from your expertise, then please do. All right, back to the video. Okay. If you have a tip for saving money, please share it below because it's tough out there for a lot of people. And the more tips and tricks that we can share and we can give to each other, the better. So if you did find value in this podcast or YouTube video, please like, subscribe, comment, follow me for more, especially if you're a teacher. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, I am sending everyone so much love for today, and I will hopefully see you soon. Bye-bye.